Senator,
That's not serving anybody.
Senator Hawley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Just a second, Senator Hawley. Now with the clock's right, go ahead.
Thanks to all the witnesses for being here. Ms. Cook, I want to say thank you especially to you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for telling your story. And I'm sorry for what you and your family have had to endure. And it's powerful to have you here today. Thank you very much. I want to talk about some of these policies that have gotten to where we are today. Mr. Jackson, if I could just start with you. You were Deputy Director in the Biden White House for gun violence and a special assistant to the president. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
You're also affiliated with the Community Justice Action Fund. Is that correct?
Yes, I'm also a survivor of gun violence.
You were their executive director. When was that, the Community Justice Action Fund?
2021 to 2023.
And you're affiliated with them now?
Yes, as executive advisor.
Okay. The Community Justice Action Fund is, do you disclose your donors?
Yes.
All of the donors are public?
Yes.
You're funded by the Tides Advocacy Group, among others?
They're a fiscal sponsor.
This is, right.
They
That would be
handle
a
our
donor.
HR.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This is a George Soros funded group?
No.
He's one of the donors?
No.
He's a donor to the Tides Advocacy Group?
Yeah, that's our fiscal sponsor. So they handle our HR, our back office, our operations.
Great. Okay. Great.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Yeah, that is great. Great. You just lied to Congress. You just lied to Senator Hawley, basically. I love this interaction right here. This one's going to go over pretty good. Hawley destroys this guy. Like really, you can't come up there and work for an organization that is backed by Soros and then try to tell everybody, oh, well, you don't want to defund the police and we're not soft on crime. Not at all. As a matter of fact, we're tough on crime. Go look at the stats that were manipulated, as a matter of fact. I love it, y'all. I really do. The only thing the Democratic Party has left is to lie, folks. That's all they do. They just lie, lie, lie. I'm not saying Republicans don't lie, because they absolutely do. But what I'm saying is Democrats, they're lost in the woods, and they're lying about everything, folks. Y'all do me a favor, smash that like button for me, subscribe if you're new around here, share this video anywhere and everywhere you can, that would be great. If you could also click that join button, sign up and become a member. But without any further ado, here's the rest of the story.
So in other words, I mean,
we're one of 300 organizations.
Right, that they run. You are a subset
we
of
pay
them.
pay them to be a fiscal
Well,
sponsor.
you are a subset of that organization, which he helps to fund, right? Okay. All right. Just wanted to get a level set here. So let's just, I want to ask you about some of the policies that you've advocated, because they're exactly what we see implemented in these blue cities, like defunding the police.
No.
Oh, indeed.
That's not, we advocated for
Wait, I
investing.
haven't asked a question yet. We'll get to, I've got a lot of questions, believe me, and I'll give you time. So let's talk about this report that you issued when you were executive director, a policymaker's playbook. And I'll ask you to enter it into the record, Mr. Chairman. Great.
Without objection.
Thank you. In this report, you advocate, and I quote now, defunding the police because the long-term goal is fundamentally to reimagine how the state serves its citizens in the project of public safety. You go on to say police departments traumatize residents through a destructive cycle of racist over-policing, and the answer is not to add any more money to police budgets. Talk to me about, I mean, why is it that denying policing to the most vulnerable communities is a solution? I know that's what the blue cities are doing, but why is that a good idea?
Well, look, I in no way stand with defunding law enforcement. I mean,
That's what your report says.
Sheriff Mike Sheridan, who taught me how to drive when I was 16 years old.
Wait. Your report, when your executive director said you wanted to defund the police, do you renounce this report? Mr. Jackson, do you renounce the report that you authored as executive director? Here it is.
You're the second senator to bring up an op-ed or
This isn't an op-ed. This is your report, a policymaker's playbook to reduce gun violence without policing communities.
Okay.
Community Justice Action Fund, copyright 2023, when you were executive director. Now you say you don't know anything about it. Now you say that you haven't heard of it, just like the Democrats who all of a sudden say, oh, we're all for the police. They've been advocating defunding them for years.
Okay, well, you can look at documents or you can look at results.
My question is, do you renounce this report now? You say you no longer agree with this.
And my answer is that I led the efforts to invest $42 billion in law enforcement.
You've advocated defunding the police as executive director of an organization that you still lead and are affiliated with.
Never see me advocate for that directly. What you see me advocate for
what is this,
a comprehensive approach to reducing violence.
The
and we've
comprehensive
recognized
approach is
that
defunding
law
the police,
enforcement is a
which
part
is
of
what
the
this
ecosystem
says.
the entire time.
This is so typical of what the Democrats do now. After your policies have transparently failed and led to the deaths of millions of Americans, now you say you've never heard of defunding the police. Your own report recommends it on page after page after page. Let me ask about something else you say. Here's what you say we ought to invest in. Instead of funding the police, here's what we ought to invest in. We need to invest in programs that acknowledge the need for safe space initiatives led by lesbian, gay, bisexual, two-spirit, trans, and gender nonconforming people. What's two-spirit?
Well, look, I don't know exactly. You guys are pulling some interesting quotes.
This
here.
is from your report.
If you look at the report, the focus is on investing in violence intervention, outreach workers.
Why does you say that you shouldn't invest in the police, but we ought to invest in two-spirit community programs that acknowledge two-spirit
individuals? We are not going to discriminate
what is that?
We're not going to discriminate against any nonprofit that
What
wants
is
to
a
help us
two-spirit?
prevent violence in
What
our
is
community.
two-spirit? You say don't fund the police, but do fund programs that create safe spaces for two-spirit people. What is? I just want to know. I don't know what that is. I have no idea what that is.
Well, I honestly, I'm not completely aware of the language or the
You wrote
spirit
the
of how that was
report?
written. But what I'm telling you is that what is
a two-spirit individual? I mean, really, this is your policymaker's playbook. You are the witness called by the Democrats on this committee, so I assume you reflect their views.
Well,
you don't want to fund the police. You want to fund safe spaces for two-spirit individuals. What is a two-spirit person?
I feel like I'm looking at a two-faced individual because you talk about reducing
Oh, no, sir.
violence.
You're looking at somebody who's
You're
reading you
also
your
speaking
own
out against
words, and I'd like to hear an
violence
answer.
programs.
Here's the answer. The answer is you don't have any solutions. You want to invest in gobbledygook and take away money from police officers who actually keep our communities safe, and when you're called on the record, you deny it. It's all there in black and white, and your record is there in black and white, and it's a disgrace.
We reduced homicides by 31%, and as someone who's been shot and nearly killed, I take offense that you would think that
I
the
take
last
offense
13
that you
years
won't answer my
were not
questions,
focused on
that you
reducing
deny your
violence.
own words, and that you are leading this committee astray. And frankly, sir, your policies are absurd. They're absurd.
I don't think we're getting any place, so let's,
I'm sorry, but I just find that freaking hilarious. Like, you can see the guy starting to go through the 5 stages of grief, right? First, it was denial, and then it was anger. It looked like he was about ready to get to bargaining. Like, I'm so offended by you, like, blah, 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 blah. What are you talking about, my dude? Look, Senator Hawley's reading back his own words. Right now, let's give him the benefit of the doubt, right? Let's say he didn't write that, and he just decided, I'm going to put my name as the author of this. Like, why are you letting these people write in this nonsense? Like, this is how these people, we don't want to defund the police. We just want to rethink what's going on here and send out psychiatrists to, domestic disturbance violence calls or whatever. It's like, why would you do that? Are these people going to be armed? Do they have close combat training? No. Cops can do, this is the job of cops. Like, you can't turn a cop into a psychiatrist. Look, it's good for them to have some sort of psychiatric training. Sure, I get that. Maybe they could invest and go that route, but they still primarily need to be law enforcement officers, and we need more of them, folks. Like, my news videos that I'm going to cover today, we're talking about all kind of nonsense, folks. Like, Donald Trump is trying to clean up the streets, sending out the National Guard, which is pretty much all he can do. And these ridiculous mayors of these cities and these states, namely Illinois and Oregon, Portland and Chicago. They are not only suing the Trump administration to stop him from doing this, but they're trying to pretend that, hey, there's nothing to see here, folks. There's nothing going on. There's no crime whatsoever. And what they'll do is they'll go out for a photo op and go walk the streets in one of the safe spaces, one of the safe neighborhoods, and be like, look, I'm walking around right here in Chicago and nothing is happening, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, we'll go somewhere else. Go to the high crime areas and do that same thing right there. Like, I bet you won't do it. I don't know why Democrats have to lie about crime. Like, that's the whole Soros connection right here. That's fascinating because this dude was working under the Biden administration, and we saw the results of those policies, folks. We have been seeing the results of those policies. Like, soft on crime policies don't work. Defunding the police does not work. Less police means more crime. I don't know where these people are getting this idea. Like we're talking about the National Guard. They keep saying, well, Trump is antagonizing Well, no, as a matter of fact, he's not. That is not what ICE is doing. That is not what the National Guard are doing. They're there to restore order, for crying out loud. And these people, they want to let these protesters run amok and, turn themselves into rioters, because that is exactly what they've been doing, folks. We've been seeing way too many incidences. That's hard to say, incidences, coming from Portland and Chicago and Memphis and just anywhere, folks. The crime in this country is getting out of hand. Now, look, I will be the first one to agree that you can't fix crime with just, slather a bunch of police on this thing. But at the same time, right, we must have a police presence that does reduce crime. The more police you have, the less crime is available to take place, essentially, because people are not going to commit crimes right in front of cops, generally speaking, right? But that's not going to fix the problem in general, because you would have to have a cop on every single corner at all times. At all times. And we just can't do that, folks. So you got to fix the culture. You got to go in and tell these people. You get them to not want to commit these crimes, type of thing. Like, if we could go back to how it used to be in the 1950s, I think a lot of that had to do with a sense of community, a sense of self-awareness, if you will, of, there's going to be consequences to any action that you may take to go and violate the law. Like, I'm not saying that the 50s didn't have any crime, but there were a lot of cities that absolutely didn't, like small towns, and it's kind of still like that in some places, but, we saw a lot less crime. People were getting out there and not doing nearly as much crime as they are now. Like, this soft on crime nonsense just doesn't seem to work, and I don't understand why Democrats are still trying to push this idea that, oh, we could just be easy on these criminals and, let's let this guy out of jail. He just messed up, right? Let's not hold him accountable. Let's let him out, and so he can go commit more crimes, because that's exactly what we've been seeing time and time and time and time again. It's just fascinating that, all this nonsense. And by the way, folks, I'm still going to cover that opening statement from that one lady. I think her name is Miss Cook. Her grandson was shot, and it's a brutal story, by the way. It's a brutal story, but I'm going to do that when I get to the end of this hearing and before we move on to the next one, because I want you guys to hear that story. It's a fascinating story, and it kind of proves the point here that, these soft on crime policies, and it's not just, like defunding the police. It's the DAs, the district attorneys that don't ram it home, folks, that you get the police, you can have as many police as you want to, right? Arresting as many people from everything from first degree murder all the way down to jaywalking. You could have all the cops in the world, but it's not going to matter if the district attorney is not going to follow through with the prosecution and actually lock people up, right? Now, a lot of people don't believe that prison is the answer, but look, they try to say that prison is supposed to reform you and you're supposed to come out a better person. Well, that's not what prison does, right? That's not what the intention was initially for. The intention was, you violate the law, we take your freedom away. That's what happens. That's what prison is intended for. You lose your privilege of freedom. Yeah, it's a privilege, folks. When you violate the law, it can absolutely be stripped from you. You get all kind of rights stripped away when you break the law and you get yourself locked up into prison. Folks, your Fifth Amendment rights, your Fourth Amendment rights, your First Amendment rights, your Second Amendment rights, we could go on. We could absolutely go on. But it's really insane what's going on in this country with the crime. And these people thinking they could just get away with anything and everything. Because, hang on just a second, they have been getting away with just about anything and everything. It's been truly insane. And, they love to say, well, just look at the results. Crime has come down, violent murders have come down 31%. When you flub the numbers, yeah, sure. But hang on just a second. Let's compare and contrast that with the murder rates or the violent crime rates from 40 years ago. Let's see how things were then, or 50 years ago, or 60 years ago. Let's see how things were then, right? There was an interesting story that when cell phones first came into fruition, if you will, when they were first invented, we saw murder rates just drop right off the cliff. And nobody could figure out why. Until some savvy individual that, has a high IQ came along and said, well, you know why that is? Because now everybody has a cell phone. And when somebody gets shot or stabbed or something like that, somebody's right there. They can immediately call 911 and get the ambulance. So the response times to these violent, situations or whatever was cut way down, drastically reduced, saving lives in the process. But that doesn't mean that violent crime attempts went down. No, as a matter of fact, they've been going up precipitously ever since. And they want to tell you crime is down. Like nonsense, folks. They try to use what they do. They'll take crime statistics from like the Summer of Love and then say, oh, well, look, crime is down 30%, as a matter of fact, when it's really not. And then you've also got, there's several investigations in several cities right now of people that work for the police department flubbing the numbers to try to make the numbers look better. Once again, folks, I say communist all the time, and that is something a communist would do. As a matter of fact, it's insane what's going on in this country. And once again, Donald Trump is trying to do whatever he can to fix it, and he's being stopped at every single angle, every single turn he makes. Somebody's there to stop him from trying to enforce laws, stop him from trying to boot out these criminal aliens, stop him from taking the funding away from these people that are robbing the federal government, folks. They're absolutely robbing the federal government. They're getting these grants and all these handouts from the government, and it's fraud. They're not spending the money on what they're supposed to be spending it on. Donald Trump is trying to put a stop to that, for the most part, right? Like, the Trump administration isn't perfect. I've got my criticisms, right? Like, Donald Trump runs his mouth a whole hell of a lot more than I would like. He says things he really shouldn't. Like on my next video, talking about, he put out a video on his social media platform of some situation from 2020, come to find out, right? And he was talking about Portland. Oh, well, look how bad crime is. It's like a war zone or whatever. And the video just so happened to be from the Summer of Love. And it's like, come on, Trump, there's stuff like that. Fact check these things first, my dude. Like, you give fuel to the corporate press to further lie to the American people about what's actually going on. It's truly insane. But I think I've rambled on for long enough. I want y'all to let me know what y'all think about all this down in the comment section. This is mind-blowing. Like, I don't know exactly how to fix crime, but I do know that people do need to be held to account, right? We need justice. We need accountability in this country, folks, because soft on crime just doesn't work. I think the past 10 years have proven that clearly. So something needs to be done. We need to get back to the good old days of locking people up, folks. But like I said, y'all tell me what y'all think. And don't forget to smash that like button for me. Subscribe. If you're new around here, share this video anywhere and everywhere you can. And if you would be so kind, I would be deeply appreciative if you guys would click that join button, sign up, and become a member. That's the best way to help this channel expand and grow. But folks, look, I'm done. So I just want everybody to know that, look, God has a plan for everybody, for all of us. There's a plan. You may not know what that plan is. You may not like that plan all that much when you first see it. You may not even recognize it, but it's there. And it's a plan specified just for you. And he also loves each and every one of you out there. So y'all try to remember all that. And y'all try to have a good day and stay logical. Peace.